Hey guys, Tommy Carrigan with Tommy Untamed. We've got a great show coming up. Thank you for watching. With Miss Amberly Cucher, or Parallels as I know her, and the most patient woman in the world. And she is my guru. She tethers me, and by that I mean you just whenever I'm like hitting like a moment of just like manic anxiety, you're my those experiments, not to compare myself to a rat, but whatever, where it's like the rat and they have the water drop bottle and they put like cocaine in it or morphine in it, and the rats
Yes.
will and they'll press it. They will neglect food, water, family, physical pain. They'll like prod the rats with like hot needles. They will do anything. I'm in that constant state of, as is everyone. It's not woe is me, of just paranoid, anxious, and when it gets bad, you're the water bottle. I'd say number one's my mom. No, no, number one's God. Number two is my mom. But some things I can't text my mom about, so I text you, and you are my drug bottle. I don't know if that's a compliment. I don't know if that's a
Gee, thanks.
horrific insult. I don't know, but it's the truth. So, yeah. Amberly, how are you doing?
I'm fabulous. So yeah, what were you and Clay talking about?
We were talking about it yesterday morning, where you said any moment, and it's hot as Portland, any moment or any morning where you wake up and get out of bed. And it's something I tried doing or started doing, I don't know, maybe a year ago, was just be grateful for three things a day. Because I had done it on and off in like college and I kind of forget about it. And I had stopped doing it for a while because it just didn't feel honest. And I finally realized, like, I don't even care if it's honest. Like, I'm just going to get into the repetition of saying it. It's like I go to the gym every day. I've gone to the gym every day, almost every day, for like 22 years. You don't have to psych yourself up. The belief that you got to be motivated to go to the gym is, you just go. And more days than not, you get going and you're like, oh, that actually kind of feels good. You just lie you lie yourself through it, and then it kind of becomes reality. And so it was maybe a year ago, it might have been a little longer. I just started saying the first thing I did when I wake up was say three things I'm grateful for, and it was so unnatural that it was in my to-do list because I wouldn't ever remember it. And it's been so long now that now it's Pavlovian. My alarm goes off, I get up, and I mean, before I do anything, before I even like take my head off the pillow, I just say three things. And sometimes it doesn't feel honest, but it's becoming more and more like sincere, which is surprising to me. I thought it was horseshit. I thought I was just going to lie to myself for the next 50 years. But and Clay and I were talking about it. And Clay, an actual special forces guy who's like, actually lived in shit. I was saying this to him yesterday morning, and he was like, "No, your grateful things are real." Because like yesterday, and it's kind of today too. I woke up and I was like, "My bed's dry. I don't think my bed's ever been wet." But how much would that suck if you woke up and like your bed was wet? Just you'd be like, "This, what the is it?" And like, I go into the bathroom and I turn a metal knob, and clean water comes out. Top 1% experience in all of human history. Just clean water. Like holy shit! I come up here and like my apartment wasn't ravaged. There's a door that locks, and the walls are even. It's not like a mud hut. And the more I say those little things to myself, and some days I don't believe it, but more and more days I'm like, this is great. I have a dishwasher.
What?
I just opened a thing and all my dishes are clean. I'm like, let's go. So you just said, and I'll shut up because it's just been me talking, but you said any morning I get up, it's a good day. No, I'm really kind of getting to that point where, as hectic as it is, even little shit, I'll be like, man, my hands work. Do you know how difficult life would be with just
Well,
clubs?
and that is part of our problems today is we apply emotions to absolutely everything that we do. When I wake up and I get my ass out of bed and I go about my day, I am fabulous regardless of how I'm feeling. It doesn't mean that it's a good day. It doesn't mean that I'm not like right now I'm having a severe anxiety. I
Oh,
have a
really?
massive headache. I'm not in a great place in my mind, but I know that I'm okay.
Mm.
and I'm fabulous. So that's when I go out and I, like you smiled, when I go
Yeah.
out and I see someone, regardless of how I'm feeling, the second I say I'm fabulous, the response that I get,
Yeah.
the smile, the oh
Yeah.
I don't hear that very often. Oh, that's great. I'm fantastic. The
Yeah.
It's an immediate connection with the people that I'm talking to that I don't know. I've had complete strangers come up to me at the grocery store, the cashiers, and tell me that I make their souls feel good.
Yeah.
I make their hearts feel warm. I am one of their favorite people that comes through the doors simply because I choose to be fabulous in every moment. It
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that it's the definition of everybody else's fabulous, but that's what it is. We all have these emotions inside of ourselves that we've created that aren't real.
Mm.
So the anxiety that I have right now, I have no idea what it's from, but like my wholeness is shaking.
Mm.
I'm okay. I know that if I get up and do something with it, that it'll slowly dissipate. I don't need to pay it attention though. I don't need to acknowledge it. I just need to continue moving on with whatever I'm doing. Eventually it'll go away. But this is years of being indoctrinating myself, thinking that anxiety is supposed to be my go-to feeling for absolutely everything. And it doesn't need to be. My life has not been what most people would consider great. Um, but I can either choose to sit in my past and the horribleness, or I can choose to just accept today as it is and carry on and be who I am today rather than who I'm supposed to be according to societal standards. Or you're given a choice growing up. You could either be a crackhead or you cannot be a crackhead. You don't necessarily have to be anything at all. You get to be who you get to be. So, like when I was a kid, I was raised by a mother who's American. I was raised with an American flag in my house, not a Canadian flag. She's a Democrat. Just poor Nana. She suffered an extremely emotionally abusive, physically abusive childhood. Her mother committed suicide, knowing her kids were going to find her body.
Whoa.
And she came to Canada thinking that it would be better, but still very much in love with with the United States. And she raised us. We always had food on the table. We always had a roof over our head. We always had um, clothes on our backs. But she was also a drug dealer. She was charged with terrorism when I was 5.
Terrorism.
Um, yes, she
That's
had
a
a lot of drugs and explosives in the house. It's
that's I've heard like a lot of like the special forces guys I know, like unsurprisingly kind of come from up lives and they, that's why they do special forces. I've heard like drug dealer before. I've heard abusive, sexually abusive. I've never heard terrorism. That's hardcore. To just drop that casually. Like my mother was charged with terrorism. Like,
yeah, and
and
like
not
that's I
even
tell
my
people.
generation. Where like after 2001 with the Patriot Act, I'm sure there's a much broader interpretation of terrorism now.
Oh,
When
absolutely.
were you 5?
1988.
Yeah, that's insane.
And it's from Canada
In
too.
yeah, I was gonna say, and in Canada, not even
Yeah.
America, where it's like you had a burqa and you kind of had, a little more gunpowder than you should have. Like, and it's the twin towers are still on fire. It's like, yeah, fuck that guy.
Well, I
Canada,
tell people
88.
she was a terrorist before it was cool to be one.
It's, like
That's
legit though. That's
yeah.
hardcore. That's hardcore to be charged for terrorism when that current paradigm was the Cold War paradigm, where you would normally be, I'm sure it was thrown around a lot more liberally, like communist infiltrator or spy or, saboteur. She got charged with terrorism when it wasn't, not only before it was cool, but in the middle of like the like Red Scare. That's so that's getting 3 feet of snow in August in Miami.
Yeah. She was something else, that's for sure.
To
And she
charge with
was
terrorists.
for like, I had 3 sisters growing up in the house with me. And because my mother had gone to prison and jail and was not a very, she was not the kind of person that you would want to send your kids over to play with her kids. I was told by a lot of parents that I wasn't allowed at their houses because I was going to be a bad person because of who my mother was. So that's the sense of worthlessness setting in real quick. And then there were horrible things that happened in my childhood. My mother, when my stepfather, his parents were Nazis, and they didn't agree
Like
with.
legit.
legit Nazis. Yeah, my
Like
Opa fought with
neo-Nazis
the
or
Luftwaffe.
like actual like Schutzstaffel
Yeah, yeah,
Luftwaffe.
yeah.
Oh
No, like
wow,
we saw
legit.
some of their memorabilia. Um, and they didn't agree with my stepfather loving me as his own because I didn't share any blood with him. And they
Ah,
used to try and convince my younger sisters that we weren't family because I didn't have pure blood.
wow.
Yes. Imagine being 7 being told that.
I mean, I kind of get where it's like you probably hit this point where you just like, kid, I'm fabulous.
Well, and
What
all of
else do
these
you
things,
do?
I can hold on to these things and I can hate these people and I can think of myself as being a horrible human being simply because of all of this nonsense.
Or you can,
Or I can throw it away and just be who I want to be. I get to create myself. I'm not who these people say that I am. They haven't even given me a chance. I'm not even 10
yeah,
years old and they're already telling me that I'm not going to amount to anything.
yeah,
So like it's struggling with my own mental health and then having an autistic child. It's really opened my eyes to the whole you get to pick who you are. I have the tattoo on my arm that says perception is consistent. What you see reflects your thinking, and your thinking reflects your choice of what you want to see.
mm,
So for a long time I didn't think that I was a lot. I didn't think that I was worthy of anything. I thought that it's everything was horrible. Um, and I used to be the person that said your emotions aren't choice, but they are. You choose, but not necessarily consciously. You've gone through everything in your life and you've slowly told yourself this is how you're going to react to this situation. This is through your beliefs and your values, this is how you're supposed to respond to this situation, which isn't necessarily the case. If you get into a car accident, most of us are going to be angry as soon as we get hit because some asshole just hit us. But what if you were supposed to experience that accident? What if you're supposed to meet somebody in that
mm,
situation? You don't know what that situation is supposed to bring. So why bother having an immediate reaction to it? Why do you already have a preconceived notion of how to respond, to react?
yes. And it's you really can only start to think like that. I think you have to have enough like literal and metaphorical accidents and see the results hours, days, years later. And if you're honest with yourself, you can start to go, that did lead to this. Oh. And when that first happened to you, that was lucky. But after like the 10th time, you do start to go, I know for me, I'm a little hesitant to immediately react to shit now because I'm just like, where is this going? What leads to this? What leads to that? What possible benefit was getting banned from YouTube? But I just look at like the succession of things, and it's happened enough times that I can't rationally say it's not all according to plan. Like when stuff happens now, and it's still hard, you still get the anxiety pangs, but when stuff happens now, I find myself saying like let's just be a little patient. Let's see no matter how bad it is. I just start to look at it and go, well, where is this gonna go? What's coming from this? Where does this pivot? And I think that is more of a conscious choice.
Until you've integrated into your normal thought process enough that it just that's the way that it is. So
Becomes
a lot like it becomes your second nature, right? Rather than what you've been trained to do. And everything is tied to our emotions. We are supposed to feel things at, absolutely every turn. Everything is supposed to invoke an emotion. So like this chair makes me happy. That plant over there makes me smile. The when it gets rainy outside, I'm supposed to be sad. Like we're told these things throughout our entire lives. It's it's like ingrained in us that there are certain situations like when a family member dies you're supposed to be sad. I didn't cry when my mother passed. Now all of the things that you know currently about her, she was an incredible human being when she wasn't being controlled by her ego. She knew her Bible front and back. She was a hardcore Christian. um even if she didn't agree with people, she still allowed them to be who they were. She full on told my gay friends that she thought she was going to hell, but she loved them. she, she was also an alcoholic and very drunk when she said it, but it didn't matter who you were still allowed in her house. She always tried to help people. She gave until she couldn't give anymore. I never cried for her. And I had a great relationship with her. She had a great relationship with my children. I knew enough that I didn't go over there at nighttime because she was drunk. I got to pick the relationship that I had with her so that I could keep that relationship with her. But when she passed, I never cried. I haven't cried really for losing her. I was not taught that death is the end. I was taught that life is eternal, that heaven is here on earth. That's what was her interpretation, and it just seemed real for me. So if she's not dead, why would I be sad?
Yeah.
And people can't wrap their minds around that because she believed life was eternal. So how am I going to be like, I miss, to be fair, I miss her bathroom the most because I have a really bad bladder. And when I'm out and about and I need to go to the bathroom really bad, I would stop at Nana's house. Now I got nowhere to go other than a Tim Hortons, and I hate going into shops to use the bathroom and not buying something.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing that I miss about her.
But that's real. That's like a genuine, like, that's not like, oh, I miss her smile. Like, that's a legit, like, no bullshit. Like, that's like, there are people that are like, I love your show, and I retweeted. I'm like, thanks. And there are people like, I love your show, and I'm subscribed $20 a month. I'm like, that, thank you. I'm like, like, I'm like, that, thank you. That's my landlord doesn't take retweets. Like, thank you. Like, legit, thank you. Like, the show will always be free just because I grew up with Napster and LimeWire. There's no such thing as paywalls, but like, no, there's like real, you see something, you're like, I see you. Thank you. Like, thank you. Like, that's a real thing to miss. Say, like, I really miss having that bathroom nearby.
And
That's
all of the
so
things
much
that
more real than like 99% of eulogies.
everything else she taught me, I am as horrible as a person she was, and as much as like I was on that path for a little bit, I learned everything from her that I needed to. She is still alive in me, and everything that I do, she's here as the inspiration for a lot of things that I do, simply because she was my mother. When I cook, when I make certain recipes, she's there with me when I do it. Um, and that's everybody that I've lost, but I haven't lost them because they're still here. When you pass, we still take our loved ones with us. It's just that they're physically not here, and physically doesn't matter. Your physical everything is nothing. How you look, how you dress, how you present yourself, that is moot to the point. What people are really looking for is how you make them feel. And that's supposed to be the whole, like, if a crackhead shows up on your door and you say, no, I'm not letting you in to sleep on my floor because I don't know who you are and you're a crackhead, you send them away, and then it turns out to be Jesus, then what? You just didn't want them on your floor because they smelled and they could potentially have crack or weapons on them, and you don't want them in your house because you don't feel safe. But you judge them based off of their outwardness rather than the humanity that they have inside of themselves. You could be a 500-pound person and create one of the most incredible things ever, but people are only going to see the outside of you and your size. So the one actor or the one singer who's done absolutely incredible things, people focus on how much weight she's lost rather than the accomplishments that she's had, because we're so based in our physical everything. Now, that being said, I'm sitting here tubby as tubbed, but like, I've also lost 170 pounds before, and then I gained 100 pounds back. But like,
Still 70
it's
net.
not,
Take the win. Take the dub.
it doesn't matter to me what people see when they look at me. It's not, you can call me whatever you want.
99.99999% of my interactions with you are over text.
Right?
That's
And
who I know and love.
And that's who we should be. That's that interaction should be what matters. Now, you have one of your ads is fitness, and you do the whole exercise and like you promote all of that. Yes, absolutely. I can still touch my toes. I can still stretch. I have issues with my shoulder right now. But like I'm as overweight as I am, food has always been my drug of choice.
It's a
It is
fucking great one. It's a
it's been my
fucking
addiction. I
great
was raised
one.
in a crack house. Like I seen what drugs did to people when I was a kid. I seen what alcohol did to people. I didn't want to be that person. Instead, I chose food. I was almost 350 pounds at one time.
As someone that has day or weekly cheat days, it's a lot less, and as someone who's done drugs, it's a lot less expensive than drugs. You don't get up while you're doing it and send a stupid text or crash your car. There's some withdrawals in that the next day you don't really want to go back to like spinach and eggs or something, but it takes about a day to get through it. You fill up your tummy. The side effects are gassiness, and you want to just take a nap, like something out of like the Winnie the Pooh, like on a couch with like a blanket. Hey, I'm with you. Don't you're preaching to the choir all day long. No, there's no like, hey, how many Nutellas have you had? Are you good to drive? No, it is straight up like I'm going to bed. I you know
but
you gotta justify shit to me.
but also being overweight can have its drawbacks too. You
Mm-hmm.
get heart disease, you get
Sure.
you get bad joints. Like it's hard. You don't. One of your things that really sticks with me is when you say just do it so you can pick up your grandkids when you're 80.
Yeah.
Right? Like that is something that's super important. So while it's not having the extra weight on you, doing all like whatever, um, it is still important to maintain some kind of flexibility, some kind of everything. But overall, the appearance of someone isn't what matters at all.
No.
It's what that person can offer you with their humanity.
That's why. That's why like people you meet online through gaming are like the most sincere relationships because it's not even like text. It's like specifically in that game. Like there are people I know exclusively through the game Nuclear Option. We're just flying around a fighter jet, shooting at aircraft carriers, and I only know them from there. And they're fantastic. I know nothing about them. I don't want to know anything about them, but it's genuine because it's like we're gonna go play this game, and
Of whoever they want you to see,
same,
right?
and
Because
whatever I'm
they
showing them.
right? Because we all have different personas for who we're going. It's code switching. You are a different person with your mom and dad as you are
Mm-hmm.
with the cashier, as you are with your grandma and grandpa, as you are with your teachers, as you are with your pastor, as you are with everybody gets a different you.
Yeah.
I try to be me on all levels and then encourage people to do the same thing. And I think that's why most people are drawn to me because it doesn't matter which persona you're going to give me. Uh, I don't
It's
really care. I'm going to love you regardless.
it's also harder and harder for me to put on a persona because of the podcast. More and more people can come out and just see that. So like even when I'm gaming with people, I'll be like, I stream it here too, because whenever anyone's gaming, you find out everyone loves it. They're like, oh yeah, like they've never been on a stream, and like it's like a novel experience. It's like 5 people are watching. They're like, this is cool. It's like a little kid showing off. They're like, hey, Tommy, they'll say like spectate me, which means like when you're dead, you can watch a player. They'll be like, I want this on the stream, and like some people will click on it and they'll be like, "Oh, you're like a right wing guy," and I'll be like, "Yeah, man, but the games are for the games," and they'll be like, "All right, cool." And you can tell there's some purple haired lefty, but even then, it's like, "Hey, let's play the game," and even there, it's like, "Yeah, let's play the game." And there's like, that's what I love about it is there is like I can tell like some people see my podcast and they don't like what they see, but they still like stay friends. Like I like that. You see who I am, and I can't lie. I wish I could. It'd probably make life a lot easier, but I can't. And so I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like a filter. Those who the Dr. Seuss, those who mind don't matter, and those who matter don't mind. I think that's kind of what it is. Um,
Now, if everybody could learn that, the world would be a nicer place. I don't
that's
understand why we're asking for permission to be who we want to be and expecting others to validate ourselves.
yeah, no, yeah,
All
that,
these people running around with blue hair. We've had trans people my entire life. One of my favorite movies was Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo dressing up in drag.
yeah,
I watched it as a kid. I didn't think
Miss
anything was wrong
Doubtfire.
with it. but now I'm supposed to approve what you're doing and care about what you're doing and call you. I'm allowed to call you whatever I want.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need
Yeah.
I don't need your permission. I didn't ask for the responsibility of your feelings. I'm not taking them. Whereas back in the 90s, trans didn't care. They
Oh.
just went about their lives. That you didn't they didn't need you to look at them in their dress and be like, okay, that's cool. That's okay.
Yeah, I'd say the inverse is also true though. There was I guess it happened a couple days ago. Some person on Twitter had transitioned and the suicide rate's like 43%. And they went and posted a picture on a bridge and they said it looks beautiful from up here. Then they posted another one and said it's a long way down. That was the last post. Their body was found the next day. Killed himself. It's got millions, like 30 million impressions on Twitter. And I saw that and I was like, Jesus. And like that's one of the reasons like why like I kind of push back on like the I don't care if you're an adult and you do go for it. You want to change your genitals, wear a bra, Godspeed. I don't give a shit. The reason I'm not so gung ho with like let's teach kids this isn't because I'm a bigot. I don't. It's because I look at it and I go, if instead of food or alcohol, if let's say fentanyl was getting laced in the food, and you and I were like, food's my drug of choice. It would be a lot harder for people to be like, yeah, do whatever you want. They'd be like, because it wouldn't be a loving thing to go, yeah, go for it. Most people would go, hey, there's like a 43% chance if you eat Nutella, like your heart's going to stop. It's not a loving thing to say, go for it. And so when I look at like why are you against, I'm not against it. I'm not against it for adults. What I am against is something that leads to 43% of the people who do it kill themselves. As someone who lost a brother, it's very hard for me to go, that's your right, go for it. I mean, it is your right, but it's very hard for me to pat you on the back. A loving thing would say, hey, there's a 4 out of 10% chance you're going to kill yourself if you do this. I don't think it's
Or
loving to endorse that.
yeah, it could also be the other way. Like my kids have, I'm very liberal with my kids. I'm very open. A lot of people think that I've introduced adults content to them much sooner than normal people would. Like when my kids couldn't go visit their Nana because she was drunk, I would tell them, Nana chose alcohol today. We're just going to go do our own thing. And a lot of people
It's fun.
were like, well, you can't tell them that. You shouldn't do. I used to leave my kids alone with her. And people were shocked because she's an alcoholic. But if I didn't feel comfortable, they're not going. And if she's going to be honest that she's drinking, she's not getting them. And my kids have been raised to not pass the judgment. So like if they decide that they want to be a boy at this stage, not so I have a little girl, she's going to be 15. I thought I was getting a prim and proper little girl when I had her. She turned out to only like boy clothes, only want to dig in the dirt. She only wanted Superman and Batman and superheroes and didn't like anything girly, no pink, no purples. Batman had to be black and yellow. I didn't push her away from that. I encouraged her to believe that. And when we went to the store and we had to buy her clothes in the boy section, she's like, Mommy, these are boy clothes. And I was like, yeah, but you're not a boy. So now they're not boy clothes anymore. Like this, if this is what you like and this is what you want to do, then that's okay. I never pushed gender identity on her. And that's the problem that I have with it. The only reason why a dress is determined to be a female item of clothing is because humans decided to make it female. It could have very well have gone the other way. The when they're kids, that should not be an option. Like it shouldn't be something that you subject your kids to. It's just who they are, and they have to accept who they are. That they don't know any more than you do. Your whole point of being a parent is to guide them into what they're going to be, without any judgments along the way. I do have a 22. Yeah, she just turned 22. Who is very much in the Legitimaquah army that requires us to acknowledge her as
Legitimiquois. I've never heard that.
it's my favorite. Since I heard someone say
Sounds like a
legitimiquois, I was like,
Canadian
okay.
province.
But she doesn't appreciate that I joke about it and carry on. And I've told her it doesn't matter. You're looking for some kind of external validation to make you happy, and your happy is inside of you. Nothing outside of you is making you happy.
Yeah, you're demanding validate. Not only are you demanding something from others that you can't demand, because it's not yours to take. You can't demand to come on my show. You're also really fucking yourself by I gotta be validated by someone else.
But when you go online and you spend time with social media, you learn about victim cards, and you learn that, okay, well, I had this upbringing,
Yeah.
now I can't be a productive. Who doesn't want to sit around and do absolutely nothing all day, every now and then? That's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Right? And there's people out there that have this learned helplessness where they can't do anything and they expect other people to do for them. I don't understand that. Like, I need to be out, I need to be doing something eventually. I'm not the cleanest person in the world. I don't see the point sometimes. Um, but they don't have any drive. They have no want to do anything. That if you ask them to do something, you get nothing but nonsense from them. They can't hold a job down. Now they've got anxiety and depression, and they're choosing all of those things because social media encourages them, and parents aren't paying attention and allowing them to spend all this time and decide that that's what they like, so that's what they're going to go towards, rather than actually following their own path and deciding, you know what, this is actually who I am.
And it's also on the responsibility of everyone who enables that.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Like,
and it's been the hardest thing for me to teach my children and then send them to public school. So we have values at a foundation at home, and I had the expectation that when I sent them to school, we would have the same foundation, because they're supposed to. Like, that's, I was raised in this, but apparently the curriculum has changed since I went to school. So as of at least 20 years ago, they stopped making children correct their mistakes. So if you had a math test, and or even your homework, if you got something wrong, you were no longer required to go back and fix your mistakes. Yeah. I got kicked out of the school that year because I swore at the teacher. I wasn't allowed back in for 6 months because I didn't understand how you expect somebody to cope with making a mistake and, fix their mistakes. So a lot of what we see nowadays are people who they did the bare minimum, and that should be acceptable. There's no double checking. There's no making sure. And here in Canada, you can go in Ontario anyway, you can go from kindergarten to grade 8 and not do any work, and then go to high school. You don't have to do any work. There's no passing grades. There's no anything to get to the next level, which is a complete disservice to kids. It's a disservice to anybody that's in this system, even the teachers themselves. And I feel for the teachers for the most part, the ones that actually want to be there. But not allowing someone to make a mistake and learn from it isn't going to help them when they get older. My autistic kid didn't understand why in grade 9, when he didn't do any of his work, he was failing. His understanding was that he just had to show up, and that was enough.
Heaven's Harvest Prepper Food, 72 servings per pail, 25 years shelf life. I've had the owner Clayton on the show before. He's a God-fearing, America-loving patriot. Get one of these, get a couple of them, throw them in your basement. It's good to have it, not need it, than to need it and not have it. If you don't want to do that, you can get their seeds. You can plant your own garden, so you don't even have to keep buying them. You can just get the goods and start your own, or you can even get freeze-dried fruits and vegetables like bananas, apples, strawberries, and raspberries. They support the show. It's an honest product. It's a good safety measure to have, and they keep my show free for you. So I'd implore you guys to please go to heavensharvest.com, use the link in the description, promo code TPC. Axios Fitness Coaching is a premium resource for holistic strength and conditioning services. Axios is best known for the Training Club, capital T, capital C, An exclusive community that prioritizes accountability, technique, diet, and nutrition. Everything you need to do to take action against the decay of the modern world. Whether you're looking to improve your physique, build strength, or just take care of your health and fitness, Axios will provide you with a solution that is effective and simple to execute. All you need to do is complete the intake survey, and you can see if you're a good candidate for the training club or any other of the services. And it's going to sponsor the show. So, one company falls off, another one arises. So if you guys like the show, you want to work out, throw the show a couple shekels. Go take the survey. Thank you so much, guys.
Higher ultraviolet exposure is associated with lower mortality. The United Kingdom is a high latitude and low sunlight country. Researchers there collected data on over 360,000 participants in a study of UV exposure via solarium use. When compared with non-users, solarium users had 15% risk lowered of all-cause mortality, 23% lower risk of cardiovascular mortality, 14% lower risk of cancer mortality, and a 12% lower risk of non-cardiovascular, non-cancer mortality. In other words, all other causes. Quoting the researchers, our study adds to the growing evidence that the benefits of UV exposure outweigh the risks in low sunlight environments. A link to the original publication is available in the box below the video. Get some UV light this winter. Immerse yourself in the tranquility of the blue. Visit a Blue Room soon. www.blueroom.com.
It makes me think it's like a form of speciation where one species slowly splits and there's like gradations. It takes millions of years where you like change. Like most dogs can still mate, like they're different, but like I don't. And I'm sure there's some examples where you can't, but like a dog and a cat can't mate. That's speciation. I think that's the definition of speciation, is when they can no longer reproduce. Then you can have animals where they do reproduce, like a poodle and a Doberman, or
We got labradoodles.
yeah. But they can all, they're different, but they can all still mate. And then there's like a weird gradation where like only 50% of the zygotes like make it to birth. There's like a whole gray area, interspeciation. But speciation is when they like officially split, and it happens billions of years and all the species and blah blah blah. But what happens if they then try to reintroduce is like they don't meet. It's oil and water, which is fine. I mean, you look outside, there's birds and fish, and you're like, yeah, but they can't, they coexist, but not like intermingling. And that's kind of what it feels like. Like there's a book we had to read in college called I always forget, it was A Beak and the Finch or Beak of the Finch, but like this group of researchers went to this island in the Galapagos, and they actually wanted to like study like evolution. They all knew it from theory, but it's like, it's, I don't know if you ever like look at like a ray of sun on your wall, and if you actually watch it, you can slowly see it moving. And you go, oh
I was
yeah,
doing that yesterday, actually.
The Earth actually is rotating. Like you accept it in theory, but every once in a while you really look at a shadow, you're like, oh, that's wild. They wanted to do that. They wanted to actually see it. And so they measured like every beak, the width, the density, the length, the like the newtons of crushing power, blah blah blah, meticulous for like 5 years. I mean, like millions of measurements, and they actually started to see some changing, just such a tiny amount. And then it was understood like, okay, now extrapolate that over millions of years, and you can see where you become a different species. I think what we've been seeing, and just a hypothesis, is almost like a speciation of victim card, learned helplessness. There wasn't like an immediate like pushback. There was, at first it was limited because there was no online. Then they slowly and it seems like a long time. It seems like it's been decades, but in the grand scheme of speciation, that's nothing. And we've seen these, right? And then some have grown up and become teachers now, and then they don't expect people to, and they teach helplessness. Eventually, though, it goes on long enough that, I mean, I remember as a kid, there would be like, how come like they don't have to? There was always like special treatment of people, but even it was like taboo. It was like 2003, 2004. You're a kid. You're like, don't say that. You know, it's your white privilege. We've hit this point of speciation now, where it's 2025, and now it's like oil hitting water. They're like, I identify, and you just have people like, you used to never want to get caught saying it, you'll be canceled. But now it's just straight up like, I identify this, and people are like, shut the up. Like there's just this wall of like, oh my god, and like the reality is this has been coming for decades, and it's now we're starting to hit it. I mean, even 5 years ago, like if I'd be on a show with someone, I'd like casually say, I'm like, yeah, that guy's a faggot. They'd be like, hey, can you edit that part out after? Versus now, it's like, yeah, I don't do the tranny thing. No one bats an eye because there's kind of like a patience that's been lost. And I feel like what we're seeing now is like a speciation event. And it seems to just be starting. And I can only imagine will be accelerating. And it's a disservice to tell people, like, hey, you can go become that species. Like, you can, but you can't interact with like the rest of the ecosystem. I don't know if any of that made sense.
No, it does. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so I have my autistic boy will be 20 tomorrow. He doesn't like telling people that he's autistic because they immediately think he's retarded.
Yeah.
Which he already knows that he's retarded. It's when he calls himself retarded at school, they tell him not to use that word, that it's bad, and he's like, my mom uses it, and
That's
she says
awesome.
it's okay.
That's
Because
awesome.
in my house, I'm only responsible for what I say, not for what you understand. So retarded in our house is slow.
Yeah.
He also has ADHD, so every now and then he talks out his ass,
Yeah.
and we will remind him, babe, you're making no sense whatsoever. Go away.
I do that to
Go figure
myself.
something out.
I do that to myself. I do it to myself on podcasts. I'll be talking. I'll be like, I can start to feel my mouth getting dry. I'm like, well, I haven't shut up in a while. Like, it just started to happen when I was doing the speciation thing. I was like, in my mind, I was like, wrap it up. Wrap up the point.
He actually asked me one time, he's like, is Tommy actually retarded? I'm like, he's not diagnosed.
Yeah, no. A lot of people will be like, you're brilliant. And they'll be like, you're somewhere on the spectrum.
Well, and that's the thing is, why is there a spectrum?
I don't care. But the thing is, like, I don't even, I honestly, it took a long time to get to this point. I like legitimately like love who I am, and for like the last year or two, probably for the first time in my life, I like that I'm a psychopathic like workaholic. I like that I read. I like that I have weird obsessions, and I like that when I talk to my mom on the phone on speaker, her Apple iPhone is really sensitive, and if she's doing dishes, I can hear like every clinking in it. I'll like pause, and she'll be like, "Sorry," and I'll be like, "I know I'm sensitive," and she'll be like, "Yeah, no one else cares, just you." And like, I don't care. So whether I'm on a spectrum, whether there is a spectrum, I don't give a shit. I like who I am, so none of it's an insult to me. So,
and that's what I try to teach him, is that it's not that you can't do things, because a lot of people will say, okay, well, that's not going to work for you. In our house, autism is not an excuse. It is, now we have to, just because it worked for 9 million people before you were born doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for you. And now we got to figure out how to make it work for you. That's it. That's all it is that you can still do everything else, everything that everyone else can do. You just have to do it different. So figure it out. Whereas most people will be, in today's schooling system, he could be, well, I have autism, I don't want to do that. And they'd be like, okay, go sit over there.
Yeah, absolutely. You'd get away with that.
Oh, 100%. But he knows that if I found out about it, it would be a different story.
It's to the loving who you are. And then also, I think the suicide, the bridge, talking about like, I don't need to validate you. Like, I look at that, and I can say like, no, I'm not for teaching kids this because I think it's immoral. I think it leads to suicide. I don't, I'm not for teaching kids this if there happens to be a very convenient Venn diagram that like a lot of grown men wearing thongs want to teach them. I'm like, oh, that's very convenient that they want. It's like the meme. It's like, why do the training men in thongs only want to read to kids? Not people at the hospital, not elderly people. Why kids? Why only kids? You start to go, huh? Maybe there's an ulterior motive there. But somebody had posted in the comments like, I don't appreciate like the hatred that the tranny community has for people that won't validate them. You know, you're a bigot, throw bricks at transphobes. And then they said, but nonetheless, I'm reading, because the person also made a post, like, I feel like an abomination. I feel so ugly. There's no other way out but to kill myself. And the person goes, I read that and I feel genuine empathy. And other people were responding to that guy being like you, they wouldn't show you any empathy. Like, they hate like straight white men. And the person said, I know that, and I know they wouldn't love me. Something along the lines of like, but like the way Christ looks at me and all of my imperfections, and that I never would. Am I perfect to Christ? No, He doesn't cast me out. And it doesn't mean that you have to go out and start bending over and being like, oh, you know, I'll respect your not that. But there's a part of you, I think it's kind of sad that to the validation of needing validation externally, it works both ways. You have this person who's clearly more conservative, right wing, going, I don't like this community. But I look at that suicide and I don't care what other people in the right wing community are like. I don't need to be in the same way that the trannies shouldn't be needing validation from us. I, as a right wing person, don't need validation from other right wing people. I'm allowed to look at that suicide and go, I like, Jesus, watch over their heart, and you know, I'll say a prayer for them. And you had people saying like, that's not the right wing way, and you like, no, like, I don't need validation from you.
But people take those labels, even good or bad, and there's no good or bad, but people take their labels and say, and believe that they have to follow along with them. So if
Yeah.
I'm a right wing,
Yeah,
I have to follow all the
that's
right wing
no
things.
better than the Legibitiquad thing. That's no.
Right?
I don't care what the Candace Owens or Dan Bongino or Donald Trump or whoever the say. I don't care. Well, that's what they said. That's fine. I'm not Republican. I'm Tommy. I don't.
But the more labels we have, the more division we can have.
Well, of course,
the more
and
hate
it's
we allow in.
as the
We
great Tim
remove ourselves from our spiritualism, our religion. And then we focus on our humanism. It's not going to work.
And as the great Tim Dillon said, all right wing and left wing filters or ideologies are glasses to look through the world to relieve yourself from the burden of independent thought. Meaning, I don't have to have a nuanced thought about, well, that person committed suicide. What's my first thought? That's sad. But wait, hold on. Everyone else on right wing Twitter is saying this tranny and they wouldn't show me empathy, so maybe I should. No. What was your gut feeling? My gut feeling is that's a person who is in torment and took their own life, and I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. That's who you are.
But I tell people all the time that they're perfect. You are made in God's image, and God doesn't make mistakes as far as I know. So if you were made in God's image, and God's perfect, you're created perfectly. You are perfect. Well, what happens is that then you have parents and they don't know any better. They're using their filters to create who you are, to help you. This is bad. That's bad. Don't do that. Don't talk to them. Don't do this. Don't do that. And now you're starting with a moral compass according to them.
Yeah.
But if you're raised in an alcoholic situation and your parents say alcohol is good and you become an alcoholic and they beat you, so you beat your kids because that's the way that it is, they think that that's right. Who's to tell them that they're wrong? How are you supposed to convince someone that's been taught that way?
There is no. It's the hard. It's the speciation. You've been speciated out to why I was taught alcohol, blah blah blah. There's a rude awakening when you make contact with the rest of society who don't view that. You could say, well, that's tough luck. Yeah, it really is. I don't, you know, it is not normal to at 23 lose a sibling to suicide. The normal thing after college is, all my friends are like, man, you know, college was fun, but my post-college 20s was, they're like, that was the most fun. They all, you know, kind of get married late 20s, 30s, but they're like, that was the best time of my life. And I'm like, I was out of college for 12 weeks. My brother killed himself. I got out the gate, like addicted to benzos, put on 80 pounds, like moved home with my parents, was seeing a therapist, was on suicide, ended up in the hospital like 18 times. Like, like, when I started the podcast, I was like, finally, I'm getting back out there. I'm starting to make money. Like a bioweapon hits. Like, is that fine? No, but it's just what it is.
But that was your path.
But that was exactly that was my path. It's just it's what it is.
Who's to say that wasn't supposed to happen?
It's exactly what was supposed to happen. I fully believe now. I'm like, oh, thank God that unimaginable torment of 10 years. I now look at it and I'm like, that made me who I am and showed me how to be strong and the importance of just getting to bed and going, tomorrow's another day. I go, oh, that was eating my vegetables, and you know what? I did grow up big and strong. You're like, wow, thanks. No, I do. It was supposed to happen.
And you had a good, decent upbringing, right?
Incredible upbringing.
And it's almost, and no disrespect to anybody whatsoever, but like
we've already gone. So this is whoever's disrespected has already turned the show off.
You had a very privileged upbringing, right? Like,
incredible nuclear family, married parents. I didn't know they died before I was born, but my mom's parents got to see cousins every summer. Dinner at the dinner table every night with 3 siblings. Private Catholic school. Got to play all the sports. Got to a mom who legitimately, we weren't allowed to play video games before 8 p.m. It was called no machines, no computer, no AOL. I still, into my 30s, I don't get on video games until like the sun's gone down. I'm like, I literally tell myself, I'm like, go read, go do something. Incredible. Absolutely.
And then you look at my upbringing, and I had a crazy American, alcoholic, drug dealing, terrorist.
Yeah, no, yours was even better than mine.
My father left when I was 2. I got Nazi grandparents.
Your mom's a terrorist. Yeah.
People around me all the time. And your situation didn't prepare you for losing a brother.
No.
I saw people die like quite a bit as a kid. It doesn't mean that like it's not that I didn't get I had coping mechanisms available for when someone close to me passed, sort of. I dealt with all of that. It was easier for me to deal with. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from necessarily. I didn't know if I was going to eat the next meal because it tasted horrible. But like I had to struggle growing up. So I'm a little bit more, I know a little bit more about certain situations than somebody who's lived a privileged life. Like when you're complaining about financials, well, not just you, but like everybody, when they're complaining about how they're going to do this, that, and the next thing. There were times in my childhood when we didn't have water, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have a phone, we didn't have a fridge, we didn't have a stove. Like I've gone through it all.
Yeah. No, I would, despite losing a brother, I would still take my life 10 out of 10 times. And not because it's like, of course I would trade anything to get my brother back. Like everything, like comparatively, it's like when you see someone win like the lottery and they win 900 million, but the government takes 60%, so they only get 300 million. People are like, man, the government took a lot. You're like,
right?
I'm with you. Government shouldn't. Hey, in theory, blah blah blah. Shut the f up. So I look at that as like, I don't look at it as coping. I just look at it as like a sober, rational gratefulness. I go, the life I grew up in is top 0.00001% in the history. Born in 1990 as a white, straight Christian man in a nuclear family with loving parents who weren't abusive, who didn't get divorced in 1990 United States of America. Like 90s. Like the peak of civilization. Hey, man. I hate... The only reason I'd ever trade it would be to get my brother back. But in terms of personal burden, I will take that 100 times because
everybody deserves
so much
to have that upbringing.
Exactly.
It's
but
the 2 parents at home
is already
environment.
That's what I mean. Is like I look at everything else in the world and I go still 10 out of 10 times. I would take that because that upbringing allows. It took a decade, but it allows you to survive that punch because you have such a incredible foundation around you. That's how valuable that is.
You have a lot more confidence in you. You've already had the stability being a kid. Like think of these people, like I've watched a lot of the YouTube recently of people who lose their siblings to gang war or whatever, and it's almost like a that happened. Like they have nothing left in them to give. They're just so used to horrible things happening to them that they no longer have any feelings left.
Yeah.
Because so many horrible things happen to them. They don't know what structure and stability is.
Yeah.
But they deserve it. They're
Absolutely.
no less. And it's not so much as getting up and going out and putting in the hard work and doing everything. You should just automatically be loved by everybody. The labels that we have to divide one another, and then to turn around and reapply them. So like racism used to be something that was going out of style. Now it's back into style. I'm supposed to acknowledge somebody's race and applaud them for that accident at birth. And we're supposed to take credit for these things. Like you're a straight white male, you're getting all the hate right now. We're supposed to love the blacks again.
Have you ever seen, there's a comedian named Ryan Long who he did this video a couple years ago that's one of the most brutally funny things I've ever seen. And it's like white supremacists and like the woke crowd uniting. It's like the woke person being like, I believe in black owned businesses, and the white guy's like, thank you. I want to know who they are and where they are. Like it's just like that. It's like I think that we should have black only spaces, and they're like bringing it back. Grandpa's smiling in heaven. Like you're like Jesus Christ. They're they're like I think blacks are different. They're like said it my whole life, not like us. Like, but you're like, and the reason it's so funny is because everyone knows that that's true. It's exactly what it is.
Do these people not take a step back and go, wait a minute, hold on?
Well, they don't, which leads to speciation.
Yes, it's absolutely bonkers.
You should cheer him on. Why? Because he's black. Why? Well, oh no, I'm with you. You're because all of a sudden you're like, they're like, wait, what do you mean? They're like, we are different. We're completely different. I think we and I alternatively I believe in white communities with white stores. All of a sudden you're like, wait, hold on. Yeah, no, I agree with you. We'll have different parts on the bus. Like. Wait, like, but that's where it's going, and it's like it's a bit of an irony that, like, of course, if this is what you want, this is what we're gonna have, and this isn't good, because the speciation never ends. By the way, whatever we're going into now, there's gonna be that speciation shockwave in another 20 years, where all of a sudden people are gonna be like, yeah, I don't know if the whole like race realism thing is good.
If we have another 20 years, as we know it, right? Isn't there like an asteroid coming to Earth for like the 90th millionth time?
It always is. We
got
there's an asteroid
war pending.
Yeah, I mean, like not there's something like I think 30 supernovas per second in the observable universe. Like 30 stars explode a second. Planets are destroyed and formed hourly. Yeah, there's a rock fight. Yeah, of course there is. I mean, sure. I don't. Whatever. Okay. I mean, it's all so insane. I don't want there to be an asteroid. I do like life. I think it's beautiful. What do you mean there's an asteroid? Of course there is. It's called our own mortality. It's a metaphor. There's an asteroid coming, and it's called like, yeah, you're a human. And everyone before you has died.
Yeah, there's no getting out of it. Don't take life so seriously.
Yeah, there's an asteroid.
You're not getting out alive.
Of course there is. What do you mean? Like, that's the novelty? There's an asteroid coming. What does that mean? It means life as we know it's over. Like, what does that really mean subjectively? It means my life will end. So that's never happened before, though. That's a complete change up. Because your whole life, you've been assured that you're just going to live for eternity.
Well, yes. Well,
Well,
everybody
I
is
mean,
going
yeah,
to be
I mean,
eternal.
and this in the spirit. I mean, the biological, because the average lifespan is 100,000 years. Well, no, it's 80. Oh, so this whole you're gonna die thing. This is breaking news. Yeah, well, the asteroid's coming. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
It's
we don't know where the human race is going to be in 20 years. Like, if there really is an asteroid coming, then it could throw, like, at the end of the day,
of course.
if we have to go into survival mode, what your gender isn't going to matter.
No,
Whether
it'll
or not you have anxiety or depression, it's not going to matter. You're going to have to survive, and when that kicks in, we start
that
back at
that
zero.
is the Darwinian pinch of it doesn't give a. It's like that
Yeah,
meme.
exactly.
It's like the meme of like the 1950s like hair bob like cooking, and it's like feminists 3 seconds after America declares war on China. I'm in the kitchen. Like that will happen at a stunning speed. That will happen at a rapid pace. Of very quickly. Yeah, you're gonna see dudes very quickly be like, huh, that guy got a crew cut and can run a mile now. You know, it's because you're gonna die in Taiwan if you're not faster than the next guy. Like, and I'm not saying it's good, but like those kind of like whip cracking events, everything else gets. It's when me and my brothers would start to get a little bit of an attitude and push back on my mom. When Dad had to step in, it all of the shenanigans stopped real quick. It was the shooting the gun in the bar at the ceiling and everyone shuts up. Yeah. There's gonna be a nuke goes off somewhere off the coast, and very quickly we're all gonna know what a man and a woman is because one of you has to sign up for the draft. Or it's gonna be very quick, and it doesn't have to just be a war. It can be an astro very quickly. I'm this. Be like, well, we right now need a quota because we're putting a certain number of people in this bunker so that they can reproduce the human race. So, what genitalia do you have? There's going to be two guys with M16s, like checking people. It's very quickly. It's all going to go out the window. When you're all getting your heads buzzed at the barracks because you've been enlisted for the army, it doesn't matter what color it is. It's all being cooked off. I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying those are the Darwinian selection mechanisms. The water is coming
That's
out
what
of
it
a
is.
hole. It's just
Yes.
I don't really know what we accomplished here today, but I enjoyed it. I have to run in like 5 minutes because I have a meeting with I don't even know somebody about the podcast about something. I have no. It's all just I don't know, but I would say kind
Now,
of to is the car crash beneficial? I would say for really the first time it was back in February when things ended abruptly with Frank's speech, and from what I now know is things abrupted up. Like everyone there, I don't know what happened. Everyone was no one got any sort of severance, even if it's just like 2 months of it all. It ended badly, and I remember when it happened. I was surprised I didn't have an immediate panic attack because like there goes my source of income. I was actually very surprised at it. I remember I came back up here and just went, well, I'm gonna figure it out. And I know given enough time, I will actually look back at this as a blessing. And then at first I went, this might just be like some weird sort of dissociation and I'm gonna freak out in like 2 days. But the freak out never came. I started working with a new production company and I'm not getting paid as much, but I'm still getting paid. And there's actually less restrictions. With Frank's speech, they wanted me not to swear. The new one, they don't care. There's also the Frank's speech, they wanted the show no less than 45 minutes, no more than 55. The new one doesn't care. They're like, do 10 minutes, do 5 hours, whatever. I would say it's an upgrade. What I could have done is freak the out for several days, not slept well, probably stress eat. But instead,
cry.
yeah, exactly. No, but instead, I just remember thinking, and it wasn't like some weird anomalous thing. It was actually, and when every time something bad has happened in the last several years, it actually ends up being good. So as much as I can't see it right now, and it's hard to kind of apply that because I'm in it, I just want it's gonna work out good. and the panic never came, and it worked out good. It's May. That's been 3 months. I don't even think I'm like, oh yeah, that was a weird thing that just kind of happened. I just kind of jumped train tracks onto another one, and I'm like, this was always going to happen, and I could have just got gray hair over the course of.
Have.
Oh yeah, no, me last year, game over. I would have called you crying, or I would have called
your first sponsor.
Oh my!
You had severe panic attacks.
Oh God, yeah.
And then you constantly, in your locals videos, you were constantly on yourself that you're just gonna accept it for what it is. You're gonna this is it.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go with the flow.
Yeah, and like now, and like I just want. So even now, if the show's shaky, I just go. It's gonna be fine. It's always been fine. And at a certain point, I just almost imagine it's like when you leave and your dog cries, and after like the 9th millionth time, you just want to come back and be like, dude, I'm coming back. Like, please. Like, please. Like, I don't even care. You're not bothering me, but you look like you're miserable. Like, at a certain point, I just almost imagined, like, God. I just imagine, like, yeah, like the meme of, like, it's like Jesus just smoking a cigarette. Like, I don't, every time. Like, Tommy, it's literally always fine. It's literally always fine. Like, dude, I'll still love you, but you're shaking, you're crying, you've eaten 30 donuts. Like, relax. And like, and I'm trying more and more just be like a cool dog. You can be a little nervous, be like, I have a feeling he's coming back. And that's what I'm trying to do more. And then yeah, or an asteroid hits. Nothing would be better than if an asteroid ended this show right now. You and I talking. Both our cameras just got really light, and then just
it would be great.
And it'd be hilarious because there'd be no one even. We couldn't even say "I told you so" because everyone else is dead. It would just be this brief moment of just like, I don't know. But that's probably how it does go. So, my alarm's gonna go off and it's gonna scare the shit out of me. It always does. Whenever I'm like cutting it close with the show and I like set an alarm, it goes off and I like jump and like. So, I don't know. Normally people have like podcasts or like socials to plug, but I don't think you do.
Nope.
Nothing to plug.
Just love.
That's awesome. That's like.
Yeah.
I like that. What's that movie where it's like, here's my card, and I think it was the Joker, and it's like his business card, and he's like in Manhattan where there's 10 million people. He's like, call me. He just hands him like an ace of hearts.
Yes. Beautiful.
Here's my card. Actually, me and whatever from the game stream, we had a joke about him making him business cards that on the front said, here's my card, and on the back he just said, call me, but then nothing else. I just handed it to someone I do a podcast. Here's my card, call me. That's all we got then. Parallels.
Yep.
I love you. Thank you so much. That was fun as you are fabulous.
You too, Tommy. Thanks.
I love you a ton, and yeah, no, we'll come back and we'll do another show and be like, yeah, remember when you thought everything was fun? But again, everything just worked out just fine. Absolutely. Or I'd be like, man, I really can't believe the asteroid sunk all of Hawaii. Like,
right?
Yeah, I'd be like, man, that was insane. Actually, like, we need to delete that. But yeah, I will send this to you. This will be up tomorrow. And thank you so much for your time, and it's always wonderful catching up. I do love you.
Thanks for having me.
You're a beautiful soul, and I appreciate you.
So are you.
Oh, you. All right. Thank you so much. Guys, thank you for watching. Take care, everybody. God bless. Peace.